Now, today I want to go over how my info/coaching business has been able to scale to over 50K a month and how we've done so in the last 18 months. I want to talk really in depth about the systems that we've been using, the funnel itself, how it compares to what the regular, IG guru is telling you to do in their funnel and what a lot of them aren't telling you about, and just a lot of like the inexperience that's in the space. I want to talk about that, but also this video is really going to help you if you are an expert who's either looking to get into the info space, looking to do coaching and consulting, or if you just have knowledge and skills that you want to package up and sell as a high ticket product or service. This is going to be the video for you. Okay, so just a little bit of backstory about me before I get into the actual funnel, because I've got a full breakdown of the funnel that I want to run you through and how we've been using it and how it differs to what majority of coaches and experts are doing in the market right now, and how I think it actually trumps that. Okay, but a bit of backstory on me. Look, I've made my money from running my own coaching business that isn't helping coaches. So the majority of my income doesn't come from helping coaches, right? This is a very important thing that I want to note, because a lot of these IG gurus, these business experts, right, that are in the coaching consulting space, they only started making their money by teaching systems that everyone else is teaching to coaches, and they just basically copy and paste. And they hadn't actually built a business before helping coaches. Their business was helping coaches. Okay, just want to let you know, just for a bit of social proof, not a lot of people do that. Okay, I am still to this day running my coaching business that, as of last month, we've been able to scale. Last month, no, 2 months ago, in August, we've been able to scale to over 50K a month. And just for a bit of social proof on this, just to show you that I'm actually telling the truth. So if we go to the last 12 months here in my business, and just so you know, this coaching business is separate to helping coaches. As I said, this is in the e-com space. We help people start their own online businesses, predominantly through Amazon. And this is that business that I'm talking about. So as you can see here, the last 12 months, now it says around 300K, which is going to average out to about 30K a month over those 12 months, right? But if you look at the scale here, in the last couple of months is where we've been able to really scale up from like 30 to 35 to 40K, and then as of more recently, 50K a month. And the growth is consistent. So that's going to be one of the most important parts here of this funnel, which I'll get to in a second, but that's just for a bit of social proof. And look, I know everyone does this, but I'll just refresh my screen to show you again, just to show you that this isn't a fake account. This is actual real account, real business with money being made. And as I said, I still run this to this day. One other thing to note is that this is just one sales channel through the Stripe account here. We get wire transfers as well, so direct debit through bank account as well, which obviously you're not going to see here, right? So another thing I want to show you really quickly, and you can go and look at this for yourself, but some really cool stuff that's been able to happen from my coaching business. One thing is that it's allowed me to do really cool stuff like this, right? It allowed me to buy my dream car, which less than a couple of months ago, I was able to buy one of my dream cars, which is a new Tesla Model 3. It was a huge achievement of mine, and something that I've been wanting for the past few years. And my coaching business had helped me get there, right? So this is providing like real world changes to my business, to my life, and it's all thanks to what I'm about to teach you, okay? So this stuff's really important. Now let's run through the regular, what I call IG guru funnel, okay, and how it usually works. Now, one thing I want to preface with this is that I'm not saying that this stuff doesn't work, okay? There's a bunch of different funnels that work, whether it's the what I'm about to show you, which is the IG follower/DM ad, low ticket funnels. I think there's like webinar funnels as well, challenge funnels. Pretty much all of them work. Now, there's phases that they go through, and some work better than others at the moment. But this seems to be really hot in the coaching space, right? Especially when someone is helping other coaches and they teach other coaches how to do this funnel. As I said, it works, but there's a few things that just not a lot of people talk about, which is going to be really important, and why I think, again, that the one that I'm going to show you, what we've been using the last 18 months, really trumps that in a lot of ways, okay? So the regular IG funnel usually looks a little something like this. You have an IG follower ad, DM ad, where you target your ideal client and get them to follow you on Instagram. The whole idea is that they go to your nurture content, which is Instagram short form content, breaking limiting beliefs, push them to, look at that. I didn't know, I knew it did that on Zoom, but that's sick. It does it on here now. I'm using QuickTime. So goes through Instagram content, you knock down limiting beliefs with short form, and then in your profile or in your content or stories, you send them to YouTube and do long form content, and it warms them up. Then from there, either through Instagram, most of the time, you'll get either inbound DMs or you send outbound DMs, or sometimes these prospects, they just book in a call directly through YouTube, through the description and whatnot. And then from there, they have a book call, okay, and you have that book call to a close, or sometimes it's either a 1 call close or a 2 call close where you close them on the first call, or sometimes it's sort of like an audit call and then give them a bunch of information, give them a bunch of value, and then you close them on the second call, right? That's usually how it works. And the whole idea is that you get them into the content ecosystem, and it builds a lot of trust. And by the time they get on a call with you, it should be, really hot lead and easy to close. That's the whole idea. Again, why this is used so much, okay, and the reason why a lot of people say to use this, a lot of experts, I guess you can call them, or IG gurus tell you to do this, is because it is great to build personal brand. Trust can be formed quickly through your content. It works to get some clients through the door, and especially in the earlier stages, it can work quite quickly. Like I've signed a couple of clients through this as well, so I know that it works. Also, it's easy to show off social proof as well. But here's the thing that they don't tell you about this funnel. Okay, one is that me personally, I find it harder to control or track your numbers, which means it can be harder to scale long term. It's really hard to see where someone is at in this Instagram funnel, where they're at in this ecosystem, to sort of track what they're looking at, what they're watching, and where they kind of convert. It's really hard to track those numbers. Yes, you can track like how many people open your DMs, how many people get on a call with you. You can still track that. But it's harder to track because it's sort of like you're trying to track a whole ecosystem instead of just a direct funnel where you can control and pull the strings on each part of the funnel, which I'll show you in a second with the one that we use in a second. Okay, so as well, sales cycles are usually huge. So to sign a client, you're looking at anywhere from like 30 to 90 days minimum. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's like 6 months, maybe 12 months as well. And that is something that's important to note because it's just a longer sales cycle, right? Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but it's something that a lot of people talk about in the space, right? Yes, it's possible to go from, someone seeing your content to then signing up with you or getting into your program or spending money with you, in the first 7 days or maybe even the first 14 days, but it's very unlikely. So it's usually longer sales cycles because I've got to go through your content, watch YouTube, watch your Instagram content. Maybe they might DM you back and forth a few times. Like it's just a longer process. It's also harder to control the customer journey, I find, because they go through your profile. You don't really know what reels they watch. Yes, you can direct them to a certain YouTube video, but it's harder to control what they see with this kind of funnel, okay? There's also a lot of reliance on consistent content. And look, another thing as well, every info business or coach and consultant is already using it. Like everyone in the space, you scroll through your feed, every single person is saying, hey, give me a DM. Hey, DM me the word this. Hey, give me a follow, go through my content. Like it's just the same thing. And they're just rehashing it with different words. Like some people call it authority funnel. Some people call it a social funnel. Some people call it trust funnel. In reality, it's just this. It's the same thing. Okay. Again, there's nothing wrong with that because the funnel I'm about to show you, a bunch of different businesses use. But when it comes to coaching, I think it's a really powerful one. And the only thing with this is that even though it can work, there's just a few things that I don't like about it and a few things that, reasons as to why I prefer what I'm about to show you. Okay, so what is this funnel? What is this funnel I'm about to show you? So this is how I've been able to grow my info business consistently each month and have control of that growth. Okay, and this is what I like to call the freedom funnel. Okay, now we're going to go, let's see if we can go full, actually I don't think we can go full screen for this. That's okay, we'll just leave it like this. So the freedom funnel is essentially, if you want to bring it down to bare bones, it's essentially an application to book in a call funnel, okay? And a quick rundown of this, how it works is we run meta ads. So meta ads are Facebook and Instagram. They then go directly from the ad straight to the landing page, which has a VSL and an application on it. So we're not doing Instagram content or YouTube content. We can add that in, which I'll show you in a second, to help with authority building. Okay, but we do meta ads straight to our landing page, which has a VSL on it. So we've got the headline, subheadline, VSL, and underneath is an application. Okay, then from there, once someone fills out an application, there's one of two things are going to happen. One, if they're not qualified, okay, and in the beginning you can leave this broad, you don't have to have this disqualification page. But if you are looking to filter out tire kickers and certain kinds of people, like if you don't want to talk to broke people, if you don't want to talk to, if you're targeting a certain business or a certain demographic, certain kind of person, and it's not them, you can, obviously you want to filter for your ideal clients, so you can actually filter that out in your application. So one of two things will happen. One, if they're not qualified, we send them directly to a disqualification page that says, thank you for completing application. Sorry, we're not a good fit. We wish you all the best, kind of thing, right? Because yes, you can potentially get them on a call, and in the beginning you may have to if it's a really early on in your offer and you just need to talk to as many people as possible. But this can really help with show rates. This can really help with having good quality conversations. This can really help with your close rate as well, if you're talking to good people and you have this filter here. So that's the first thing that can happen. The second thing is if they do get accepted on the application, it takes them to a booking page. This booking page will then automatically send them obviously to the calendar, and then they can book in a call with you and have a chat with you, okay? From there, after they book in a call, there's a thank you page, and usually the thank you page is either the same VSL again, or it can be like some pre-call homework where you can get them prepared for the call. This is where you can have sort of some authority content. This is where you can give them some more information before they show up to the call, because usually they'll book in a call, maybe anywhere from 1 day in advance to 3, potentially 4 days in advance. I wouldn't recommend going any further than 4 days because show rate drops off a cliff after that, okay? So from there, obviously, you have your call, sales call, and the whole idea, and I'll get to this in a second, the whole idea is this cycle from here has only been 3 to 4 days, right? You get on a sales call, and ideally, obviously, you sign them as a client, you get cash in the bank, okay? So this whole sales cycle is anywhere from, it can be as little as like a few days, right? A lot of the time, it can be around, majority of the time, it's like 7 to 14 days. So it's a lot of a shorter sales cycle. Now let's go into this. I want to talk about this a little bit more in depth as to why this works so well. Again, this is the exact system, exact funnel that we've used to consistently grow each month, right? Consistently grow profitably and also past 50K a month, right? And we went from, as a matter of fact, we went from 30K a month to 50K a month, right? We're at 30K a month. We up ad spend. We dialed in this funnel like really hard, and we went from 30K to 50K a month in 30 days. So that's 20K a month in growth in 30 days. And we really, obviously we dialed things in, but we didn't change a huge amount of the funnel fundamentally, right? So with the meta ads, okay, what we're doing from here is we're calling out our ideal clients. So very similar to the IG funnel, right? But we're calling out our ideal clients. So in particular, ours is Aussie 9-to-5ers who have a spare hour per day. The good thing about this is that in your ads, you can actually show social proof, right? In majority of our ads, for this offer, we show a lot of social proof in our ads, so that builds a lot of trust. We show processes, we show even like parts of what the program looks like, and let them know that when they click on this ad, they're starting a process of getting help and working with us, okay? So by the time they get onto this page, it continues this. So the unfair advantage for Aussies who want to start a successful Amazon business in Australia, this is continuing on. And you've got to think that you've got to continue on with the line of thought that this prospect is going through. So they've seen an ad, okay, cool, hey, I'm an Aussie 9-to-5 who has a spare hour per day. They then go through to the landing page, the unfair advantage for Aussies who want to start a successful Amazon business in Australia. Okay, it's going through the same line. And if you've got your expectations set right through the meta ad, then it's going to make it a lot easier to convert on this page. Because in their minds, if they clicked on the ad thinking, hey, I need help with this, I may need some coaching or some mentorship with this, I really want to start this kind of business, or whatever it is, whatever your pain point of your client is, if they understand that they're getting into this process with the end result of them working with you, then all of the rest of this funnel is going to become a lot easier. Okay. So you don't want to say in here, hey, I've got free training, or hey, just book in a free call, because a lot of people will consider that as free training, or they think that the sales call is the free training. You got to be very specific with your language, or at least let them know that they're starting this process to work with you. Okay. Now, why this combo of VSL and application works so well is because, one, the VSL is going to work like a sales call. And what I mean by that is the VSL is going to talk all about where they're at right now, so where your ideal clients' pain points are, where they want to get to, okay, because you're going to have a good understanding of that more than likely if you're watching this. So where they want to get to, and what the gap is right now. After you bridge that gap is going to be, okay, what it is that you help with and what your process looks like. So our VSL on this page is like talking about their pain points, talking about what hasn't worked in the past, and then bridging that gap of this is what we do and this is how we can help. Then you can do a lot of stuff on this VSL. You can warm them up a lot with testimonials, with the results that you've gotten, with screenshots, with interviews from past clients that you've had. This is really going to help in that process, okay? Obviously, it's going to be a lot harder if this is a brand new offer, but this is where you would put in things like even just screenshots of people that you work with, or results of your own, any kind of social proof. But you have a lot of control over what they see in this VSL, and it really warms them up. Now, the idea of this is after they've seen the VSL, if this is something that is going to be a good fit for them, the entire nature of this application here is to get them to start this process. So they watch the VSL, or at least part of the VSL, then they begin the process of the application. And the application is very specific. I'm not going to go through all the questions, but we've got, I think, around about 6, maybe 7 questions on our application, and it just talks about what they've done before, where they want to get to with in our case, with their Amazon business, how, like, where they are at financially. So in terms of, like, do they have a full-time job? Do they have a part-time job, or they're not working? What do they want the Amazon business to do for them? Like, some people just want to learn a new skill. Some people want to potentially go full-time with the business. Very personal questions. And then at the end of the application, it's just like the name, email, and mobile, right, to gain a contact. So the nature of an application is that it drives intent. This combo of VSL to application drives the intent of they're applying to work with you. Okay, again, you show a lot of social proof on VSL. One thing as well, which we do on our landing page here, is underneath this application, we have things like social proof. So we have all of our client results, testimonials, interviews. We have them underneath there. So people, as they scroll down, naturally they'll go, okay, this looks like a good thing for me. This looks like something interesting to me. Does it work? Right? And before they fill out an application, before they make that decision, they might think, okay, does it work? Has it worked for other people? They scroll down. We've got things like FAQs at the bottom as well. So just frequently asked questions about the program, about the business model. And the whole idea of this is to not only start the intent and drive the intent, but then to also clear up a lot of, concerns, and build a lot of trust. And this can be done all on this page, which is really important. So after that, they, again, fill out an application, okay? They either get, if they do get disqualified, which is a small percentage, maybe like 10% of people or 20% of people might get disqualified, depending on the offer, depending how much friction you have, okay? But if they get accepted, they go to the booking page, right? And I'll go through these as well, because each part of this are the levers, the strings that you can pull that I was talking about in each part of this funnel, so you know what to adjust, okay? So they book in, obviously they're booking a call, and within those 3, so anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 days up until their call, what we do is a couple of things. We have SMS and email confirmations, okay? And we also, after they book in a call, we have an SMS and email confirmation, and then it takes you to the thank you page, okay? After that thank you page, we have an email nurture sequence, okay, which builds trust and warms them up before the call, right? Now, I'll get into this in a second because this is where the content and the nurture stuff is going to come in, which is very similar to the Instagram funnel. But the whole idea of this is that from here, okay, within those 1 to 3 or 4 days before their call, we hammer them with emails. Like in the first day, they're getting like 4 or 5 emails as soon as they book in a call. And these emails are very specific. Now, why that's important is because you have a lot of control with this funnel over your customer journey and what content they watch. With this funnel, right, you don't have a lot of control. They might watch a few Instagram reels, then go through YouTube, watch a couple of videos, watch half a video, come back to Instagram, go back to YouTube, come back to Instagram, and you don't have a lot of control. With this funnel here, through the email nurture sequence that we have, okay, and we're just hammering them with these emails of specific pieces of content that can be short form or long form content, you can be very specific with what they watch. So for instance, with ours, there's like a 4 sequence email, so 4 separate emails, and we have 4 different bits of content that are specific to the journey of someone who wants to start selling on Amazon. Okay. This can be like how to get started, how to find a product, what the journey is going to look like, and results, right? So with your offer, you can be very specific. If you know that majority of the time your client is going to want to know this thing first, and then that thing, and then that thing, and then that thing, you can really tailor that experience, right? Instead of just them watching any video and multiple videos and random ones and getting views. Okay, so this is why this part is very important, because by this time, right, if this is done properly, it's going to increase show rate. And by the time they get on a call, by this point, prospect is warm and both aware of their problem and aware of who you are and how you can help them. Okay, I don't like high pressure sales calls. I don't like high pressure sales. So by the time they get on this call, it's going to be a low pressure thing. Okay, now, granted, there's obviously still going to be times where people aren't as aware or they haven't gone through the content that you want them to go through. Okay, and it's not always just 100% of the time. People who hop on this call, they just do everything that you want them to do and they're going to be warm. No, it doesn't happen like that. But we can increase the percentage of people that we talk to that are warm and that are problem aware and that are aware of our offer, aware of how we can help. And really this just becomes a conversation of, okay, cool, what's involved? How does this work? What are the costs, etc. Right? And they're pretty much ready to go. And if the rest of this funnel is done right, then your close rate goes up, whether it's you, whether it's remote closers that you got or team members that you've got, this close rate goes up. You get more cash in the bank, okay? Now, after this, you've got a few things, obviously. You've got the onboarding and delivery, you've got the upsell and cross-sell, and you've got hiring and scaling, okay? And this all plays into this. Now, I'm not going to go into each one of these specifically in this video, but say, for instance, obviously you get them onboarded and you deliver the service. You've obviously got the chance to upsell them later on, depending on what kind of service you offer, or you can do a cross-sell if you want to go into like a monthly recurring thing with them, and it's just month by month. And this funnel also allows you to hire and scale. So the majority of this, how I run my business now, majority of this is done automatically without my input, right? So my team at the moment consists of, we've got 2 remote closers, we've got a sales manager, and we've got a director of student success, which is basically a head coach, right? Now I'm still involved in some of the process of when the clients are onboarded, and I'm there for support as well. But majority of the time, like I'm probably spending about 4 to 5 working hours a week on this business, right? And this is all because of this funnel. Okay. Now, one thing I want to touch on really quickly before I get into the click-through rate, optimum rate as well, is this down here. So in this email nurture sequence where I'm talking about building trust, warming up these prospects before the call, it's very important that you compound trust and brand awareness by utilizing long-form YouTube content, short-form IG content, and email. Okay, so when these people or when these prospects fill out an application or when they book in a call, they are then in your ecosystem. Anyone who's given you the intent, given you their information, they're in your database where, you know, it's a CRM system that you're using. And by the way, we use Go High Level for this. You can use like ClickFunnels or whatever. If they're a contact, right, then you can then send them to short form content, to long form content. And this can be all done at different stages, right? We like to do ours as soon as they either fill an application or book in a call. We blast them with this content. Because even if you send them to one YouTube video, if a prospect's watched even one YouTube video, right, the percentage or the likelihood that they're going to close on that call skyrockets, right, compared to if they haven't. Okay, so I still think content is very important in the long run, and if you can at least get someone, a prospect, to watch even one piece of content, it helps. Because the more time, and this is something that I think Taki Moore, he's a huge coach in the space, uses, the more time on brand that someone spends on your brand, the higher likely they are to close. The more likely they are to trust you, the more they're going to like you, the more they're going to trust you, the more higher they're likely to spend money with you, right? So this is important to utilize this, okay? And the one thing that I want to mention is that, yes, I would highly recommend this, but you don't need to be as consistent with content, especially Instagram content, as you are with this funnel here. Because this is heavily reliant on content. Like, you literally bring them into a content ecosystem, right? So that's important. Now let's talk about some of the, actually before we do that, I want to talk about this here. Then we'll talk about the pros and cons, because that's important as well. And it's stuff that not a lot of people talk about, right? So this here is something that we can control. And as I mentioned before, you can pull the strings, right, on what to fix, where the leakage is. You can actually figure that out. So first thing is your click-through rate. And there's a click-through rate of the ads. So if you know that your click-through rate's bad, the rest of this system isn't going to work properly. It's going to be unprofitable. So first thing you can fix is your click-through rate. Next is your opt-in rate. So we know based off a certain percentage whether there's enough people going from clicking the ad to then filling out an application. Okay, that's the opt-in rate, or the application rate, right? So if that's low, then the rest of this funnel, right? We might have the ads good, but the rest of this funnel is going to be lacking if not enough people are filling out the application. So we know that we can fix that based off of this opt-in percentage. Same thing with booking. So if the first two are right, but then by the time they get to a booked call, it just drops off a cliff, then we know that we've done something wrong in this part of the process for this drop-off rate to happen. Then we know that we need to fix the amount of people that fill in an application that then convert to book in a call. Okay. Now, if we fix these three things, right, you've got good click-through rate, good opt-in rate, good booking percentage, but then your show rate drops off a cliff, or you just have a low show rate, then we know that we haven't built up enough trust up until that call, and we need to fix this. See how we know, like, each part, like, we can just pull each part, like pull the strings, pull the levers on each part. We know where the leakage is coming from. It's really important to know that, because a lot of the Instagram funnels and whatnot, it's really hard to track that, right? And all of the stuff can be done like through your CRM if you're using high level or ClickFunnels or whatever it may be. Majority of the time, whatever software you use can show you this, right? Or you can even just do it manually as well, okay? But let's say we fix the show rate as well. Okay, so we're getting good show rate, but then by the time we get to the close is just like abysmal, right? Or we got a low close rate. We know up until that point that it actually can be a couple of things. We know that maybe we haven't built up enough trust, depending on what you talk about on a majority of these calls. Maybe it's just an issue of skill. So whether it's you or you've got a sales rep, maybe it's just not experienced enough. So at least we know that that is the bottleneck, okay? Sometimes with low close rates as well, there just hasn't been enough warming or trust building done up. And you usually see that happening if you get a lot of people on your sales calls asking a lot of basic questions or asking for a lot of proof to be shown or anything like that. That just means you haven't done a good enough of a job in some of the, like in one or multiple of the previous steps, okay? But at least we know, right? So that's really important to note, is that each part of this process can be tinkered and can be improved on, right? And that having that level of control is how we've been able to scale to over 50K a month, in pretty much a short amount of time, right? But the good thing is that it's consistent. I know how much I need to spend each month on ads to get X amount of book calls, which will then, we've got a rough idea, or not even a rough idea, a pretty good idea of what our show rate's going to be, what our close rate is, and we can adjust. We know what levers we need to pull, right? So it's really important to know that stuff. Now let's talk about a few of the pros and cons of this, okay, before we end it here, because this video's gone for like half an hour. So this is why we've been using it the past 18 months. One is that there's direct intention. An application funnel in its, basically in its simplest form, drives intention. Okay, when someone clicks on an ad, they're not going to free training, you're not giving them a freebie, you're not sending them to a webinar or anything like that, you're not giving them a lead magnet, right? They are filling out an application to work with you. And as long as you make that intent known, especially in your ads, right, that they are starting this process, at least starting a process to get help, right, this application is going to work great for you, okay? You also have a lot more control over metrics and growth, more control over what prospects watches / their journey, okay? And that's something that I noted with the email nurture sequences and each lever to pull. You just have more control over the whole entire journey of the prospect, okay? Again, there's a shorter sales cycle, so instead of it being 30 to 90 days plus, our usual sales cycles, so sales cycle meaning from when someone sees an ad to them when they buy, and these are like cold leads, these are like cold prospects. The majority of people have never seen me, have never seen our offer, a lot of them have never even seen the business model that we teach. Go from that to then spending money with us, right, and getting into our program and becoming a client is like 7 to 14 days on average, okay? Sometimes it can be shorter, sometimes it can be a little bit longer, but that's the average time, right? As well, there's a lot less reliance on content, right? So when I was relying on a lot of organic content, I was posting like 3 times a week on YouTube. I was doing a lot of Instagram stories and trying to engage as much as possible. These days, I post just if I need something updated or if I want to post about something. Yes, I have a library of YouTube videos, right? And that compounds over time, which I still think is important. But you aren't reliant in the sense where you've got to post like multiple times a day, multiple times a week, right? And rely on that content. Now, is it going to help you? 100%. If you want to grow things quicker, do content. Okay, I'm not saying that just don't do content at all, but it's going to be end of the day and your sales aren't going to plummet if you just have a month or two where you just don't really post as much, right? And that's what I like. That's why I coined this as the freedom funnel. It gives you a lot more freedom. The downsides, okay, that I'll actually tell you, not like a lot of these people that are teaching these funnels, they won't tell you the downsides. One is that in this funnel, it just takes a bit longer to set up. Okay, you've got to set up the CRM system, you've got to set up the automations. It just takes longer to set up, right? You will also need more regular ad creatives. Okay, so the way that meta ads run these days is that you just need you just need to churn out a lot more ad creatives. So what I mean by ad creatives is you just target obviously the same demographic, but the actual ad itself, you need to update quite regularly because that's what Meta's preferring right now. Okay, and that is what I would suggest you to do, and I think that's what's needed to keep things fresh and keep the quality of leads high. So with our spend at the moment, we are anywhere probably around about $400 or so per day, which is about 12 grand a month at the moment, and we have anywhere from like 10 to maybe about 15 ad creators running it each time, and either every few weeks, every few months or so, we will update quite a few of those creatives, okay, to keep it fresh, and that's what's needed, right? That's the only difference. Now, if you're at a lower spend, if you're starting at like $30 a day, $50 a day, you can start off with like 3 ad creatives, right? The higher spend you go, the more ad creatives you need, okay? Now, social proof as well. Social proof and trust may take a little longer to form, or you'll need to be more creative with building it. So that's what I mean with this part of the funnel here. We need to be more creative with building this trust, okay? Because you're not bringing them straight to Instagram or straight to your YouTube. You've got to get creative with whereabouts to add in this trust building, the content, the nurturing stuff, right? We do it usually here, okay, where after they're booking a call, because they've got the intent built. If you want to add it in around here as well, you can do that as well. After the ad at some point, if you want to sort of filter them out or have a process here where they watch content first, you can do that. But I usually like to get the intent done first, and then after that, show them proof, because they're gearing up for the call and they're getting ready. They've just they've just taken that first step of booking in the call, okay, which again, not a lot of people will do. There's only a certain percentage of people out of all your leads that will do that. And the people that are looking to talk to you, right, or talk to your sales team, you nurture them with content, okay? You warm them up. I like doing it after they've made that first step because it kind of confirms and it builds trust, okay? Last thing as well, it might cost slightly more to run this funnel, okay? Now, I know a lot of people with the IG funnel, they say that, their ROAS is really high, their cost per book call is really low, but the thing is that a lot of them don't talk about the consistency. They're like, hey, I got a 27 ROAS or 17 ROAS this month, but they don't talk about the next month. They don't talk about the month after. They don't talk about 6 months' time, right? Yes, it might cost slightly more to run. It might be a higher cost per lead instead of cost per follow. It might be higher cost per lead, higher cost per book call. Our book calls are averaging like $65 per call at the moment. Sometimes they can get as high as like $100. But the thing is that I know if we have like a 5 or 6x ROAS for that month, and ROAS is just return on ad spend if you didn't know. If we have a 5 or 6x ROAS for that month, I know that it's going to be a 5 or 6x ROAS that next month, as long as, show rate doesn't plummet or close rate doesn't plummet. But then again, we're going to know what to change and keep it at that. Okay, so it's very consistent, right? So that's pretty much all I want to say about this. Again, this is the exact system that I've used. All I will say is that yes, this funnel can work and other funnels can work, but just be wary of who you listen to in the space. Make sure that they're reputable. Make sure that they have actually built a business. A lot of the people, a lot of the gurus that are running these funnels, they didn't make money until they started teaching this system to other coaches, and then they make money that way, and then that's where their social proof comes from. Okay, I've been doing this the past 8 years, and the last 18 months is where we've been able to really scale things with this system, right? So there's been a lot of ups and downs, and if you're thinking, well, why did it take so long? Look, the space was very different 8 years ago, okay? It's just the way that things are run are different. Like, you've got to adapt with the market. In the last 18 months, this is what's working, right? And the only way that I've known this is because I've gone through the highs and the lows, gone from like making quite good money and then being like gone broke in the business twice. I've got the battle scars to prove this shit, and that's what you need in this. Like, if this is something that you want to listen like to advice with, just make sure that they're reputable. Okay, so look, the only real call to action I'm going to give you here is if you want to check out more about what I do, go to my Instagram. Okay, send me a DM if you need help with anything. Okay, I'll have a link somewhere if you do want to have a chat with me and see if this is something you want to apply to your business, whether you are an info, if you've got an info business or you are a coach or consultant, or you've got skills or an idea that you want to package up, you know how to help people with a certain thing, or you're really good at a certain thing, you want to package it up and sell that as a high ticket product or service, click the first link down below. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay safe wherever you're watching, and I'll see you in the next one.